diamonds in the rough. NFL Draft Diamonds. Time to shine.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and today I have with me Bradey Sorenson, who's a long snapper out of South Dakota State University. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Can you just maybe describe to the viewers a little bit about your overall career?
Yeah, so I'm from Yankton, South Dakota. I got recruited through South Dakota State. I've been the long snapper for the last 4 years. Obviously COVID has changed a lot of that now with our season getting moved to the spring, but still training, still have high goals, and so still working towards that right now.
Cool. So it was recently brought to my attention that you actually had COVID for a little bit. Tell me about your situation there.
Yeah, so I started getting the symptoms. I immediately started quarantining. Couldn't taste or smell. I lost a little bit of weight from that just because you don't have much of an appetite. When quarantine was over with, I still had some other issues, chest pain and shortness of breath, and had to go see a doctor and get an EKG, all the other medical tests, just kind of figure out if this is something serious or if not. And I just got clear today from, seeing a cardiologist. So that was great. They actually put me on the treadmill, and it was the first time I got a really nice sweat in after 4 weeks, I think. So it's been quite a journey. I'm still feeling the effects of it. But now that I'm finally cleared, I can start, working with the team and getting back into the whole, group-oriented program.
Cool. Well, Bradey, man, to be honest with you, I'm so happy and thrilled that you're through that. I mean, obviously, this is kind of a big thing these days, with coronavirus sort of sweeping the nation, the world, and changing how we do things. But I'm really happy that you're healthy, dude. Let's go back and talk a little bit more about football, because you're actually one of the top long snappers on my list. You were an All-American last year, which is awesome. Tell me how you became a long snapper. I mean, not every kid when they're little thinks that, hey, I'm going to grow up and be a long snapper. How'd that happen for you?
Yeah, so it was one of those things where in middle school we needed a guy to do the long snapping, and I was always one of those type of players where I was willing to try any position. And kicking wasn't my forte, so snapping actually came through for me, and I ended up just doing it from middle school all the way up until my junior year. And when I hit my junior year, I decided to do some camps, and compete with kids in my class at a more national level with Rubio long snapping. And so that gave me a lot of exposure and helped gauge my own ability versus my class and what I needed to improve on as a long snapper.
So talk to me a little bit about that Rubio long snapping. I mean, how did that end up for you? What were some of the things that you did during those camps?
Yeah, so I started pretty late in the whole process with Rubio, being a junior and trying to get more exposure for college coaches. But I went to, I think, 5 camps. Also went to Vegas, which was a big camp for Rubio long snapping. And it was basically, the first portion of it was strictly, form and video evaluation and technique, and just trying to improve a certain aspects of your own form. And then the other half was competition. So fastest snap, accuracy, and, having a winner after all the trials that guys go through. And so that was, it was a really good camp in a sense of getting more tips and tricks on how to improve my snapping, but then also, like I said, gauging myself versus the competition, because you spend so much time, working on certain aspects, and then you come to this camp and then you're competing from someone who's halfway across the country from you. And it's a good indicator of how far you've came.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about that just a little bit more. So what are some of the key attributes for an elite long snapper? Like, what do you believe are those things?
Well, I think the first thing is having the right mentality as a long snapper. There's only so many reps that you'll have, in a given game, and so you have to go in with the right mindset to do your job and do it the best of your ability, and not get flustered. I always used to think of it as like pitching. Being a pitcher in high school, you can't let one bad throw, one bad pitch, affect the rest of the game or the rest of your performance. Another aspect I would say would also just be, being athletic and just trying to be as physical as possible. Long snappers don't get a lot of physicality at pretty much every level. And so just trying to do your part and be as involved as you can, whether it's blocking or running downfield and trying to make a play for your team.
Cool. So, what is your mentality towards training? Like, or let me rephrase that. What's your approach and mentality to training, just in general?
My approach is to try and just be a linebacker when it comes to either the weight room or, just trying to be physical as I can on the field. Trying to be a linebacker, improve on my athleticism, and just, I guess, going in there with confidence as well. On each play, knowing that I'm gonna do my job, for my team and for my teammates.
Cool. So go ahead and talk to me a little bit about some of the training, maybe some of the drills that you've gone through in order to better yourself.
Yeah. So in terms of like snapping, I have a snapping coach, and so he helps do evaluations to help me see areas that I need to improve on that I haven't noticed, and just build off of that. Whether it's having more balanced hands with the ball, how you grip the ball, or even just the general motion, and how to use your body more efficiently when snapping a ball, whether it's using bands to help get a better idea of what muscles you're trying to work and feel the tension in certain areas through your snap. And then even just like out, with the linebacker portion of it. So taking the weight room very seriously with all of your lifts and just trying to build as much muscle mass as you can and speed.
Cool. So, I mean, some of the weight room stuff that you were telling me was you have a 600-pound deadlift, 300-pound bench. So some pretty good numbers there. One of the things that I do kind of, I don't know, I'm a little bit concerned about with regards to a long snapper is really your back. Because, I mean, your position is meant for you to be hunched over and to deliver a ball. How do you keep that flexibility, in your back, in your legs? What are some of the things that you do for that?
Well, I do a lot of yoga. So yoga's been a great tool for not only just like your mind and body health, but improving on your flexibility, and also just trying to improve on your mobility as well, because that plays a big role as a long snapper. Trying to move your body a certain way, you might need bit more mobility in your upper back, or I know that was my problem, transitioning through training with my snapping coach, that I needed more mobility for my upper back.
Cool. Why don't you go ahead and share maybe just a very memorable moment so far, like in your career? Maybe if it was like a high-pressured snap, or maybe you running down the field and getting a tackle, like on a punt. Talk to me maybe about a moment so far in your career that really sticks out.
One that really sticks out for me was, first of all, my first game ever running out on the field. But for a high pressure game, it was our first away game at, I think, Montana State, and sold out crowd. It was late in the fourth quarter. We had a small lead, and we had to punt the ball with like a minute left in the game. And so it's hard to hear, the cadence. And then I also had the linebackers in front of me, trying to have me mess up, saying, you're going to screw up this snap. You're going to mess up this snap, trying to get in my head. And I just remember that being such a that was the most intense snap that I had ever had at that point in my life. And, you know, snap was good. He ran down the field. And ever since then, I mean, every other high pressure situation has been a lot easier, I guess, really, from field goals to other punts.
It's kind of neat. So, I mean, obviously it's kind of like your initiation. It kind of brings back memories of like maybe playing basketball and you're trying to, you know, hit a free throw and you got everybody shouting at you in order to throw you off your game.
Yep.
I mean, I realized that at some point you played a lot of different sports in high school, whether it be basketball, baseball. I know you also threw the shot put, 54 feet, which is great. Talk to me about those experiences.
Yeah. So high school, I tried to be, you know, just a multi-sport athlete and try and be as most involved as I could. High school, I was a pitcher. I played catcher and outfield, a variety of positions. And then I played basketball as a small forward. And then shot put, you know, shot put's actually kind of an interesting story because that was my senior year, my first time throwing shot put since 8th grade. And my first throw was a 38-foot throw at my first meet. And, you know, I really dug deep with the coaches and their training and what they wanted me to improve on with my form. And going into state, I threw my farthest throw was 51 feet. And on my first throw, I threw a 54. And so it just kind of really just shows like, you know, really believing in what the coaches are trying to teach you and following through with it and just seeing till the end, seeing those results.
Cool. So, I mean, definitely those sports have to translate a little bit to football. I mean, you figure, you know, baseball, you're throwing a ball. I mean, you're throwing a shot put. So, I mean, definitely, you know, you're gaining a lot of technique, you know, and you certainly have the power to do what you have to do there. Obviously, also with basketball, it's almost like you're shooting at a spot, and you got to be accurate. Because if you're not accurate, if that ball is not in the right place, I mean, it's got to be right at the hip of that kicker. If you're, snapping it to the punter, or it's got to be like right in the hands of the holder, or else the whole game, play is off. So
yeah, it's a lot about being consistent with the same motion too. You know, that carries over too.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Hey, Bradey, I was just going to give you the opportunity, maybe give a shout out to a few people that have really helped you along the way. I mean, I know that there's been a lot of coaches, whether it be high school, special teams U, Sdsu, a lot of people that have really helped you get to where you are today. Talk to me maybe about some of those people, maybe some of the lessons that you've learned from them.
Okay. So for coaches at Sdsu, Coach John Stiglmeyer, my head coach, big shout out to him for not only helping me improve as an athlete, but also as a man, and helping me learn some life lessons that I can carry over after football. He's really made, you know, a family-oriented football team that I've come to really enjoy over my last, 4 years here with Sdsu. And then for other coaches, my snapping coach, Kyle Stelter with Special Teams U, he's done a great job in helping me improve my snapping form, not only just like on the physical aspects, but also the mental game of it. Whether it's like a certain situation, whether it's raining, what kind of modifications do you need to change to snapping? And then for some players, Evan Greenway, I used to play with him in high school and then also in college. And he was just a big leader for me in terms of always pushing myself and striving for, something higher than what I've already achieved. And then just a shout out to my brother Corey. He's helped me quite a bit over the course of just high school on up until now with not only just training, but just life in general, and helping me see a different perspective and help make the right decisions that have ultimately helped me get to this point right now with you.
Cool. Hey, let's just take a moment and just let everybody know like who you are, like outside of football. Maybe who you are, as a student, what you're doing there, and maybe any other interests, hobbies, passions you have in life that you're willing to share.
Yeah. So pretty outgoing guy, really laid back. I'm an exercise science major here at Sdsu with a minor in psychology, and pre-profession is physical therapy. So that's one of my goals after, football's done and over with. One big hobby that I've really gotten into was hiking. So my brother lives out in Seattle, and there's a lot of mountain ranges out there. So we're always going on these giant hikes that have amazing views. So that's been a big hobby of mine, alongside with, just being active and working out, whether it's lifting or even just like playing sports too on the side.
Cool. So I mean, definitely a guy who's in touch with nature. So you're definitely
Yep.
outside as much as you can.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, I always ask this question to everybody. Just give me your why. Why do you play football? And then go for it.
So I play football because, one, I love the sport. I've been doing it, since I was, a little kid. And then also I love football because of just like the team aspects, the relationships that I've been able to build with not only just coaches, but also other fellow teammates. And then just the life lessons of it as well that it brings into, outside of football, that I can carry over into my professional career, and have really shaped me as an individual coming, from high school, especially from high school into college.
Cool. And very last question I have for you is just to give me your final pitch to a professional team. Why should they sign you? What would you bring as a teammate?
Well, I'm definitely a team first kind of guy. You're going to be getting a guy who has athletic, who's hard work and driven, very detail oriented in his craft, and always looking for different avenues to improve on, whether it's not only just snapping, whether it's the weight room, whether it's sleep or nutrition. So always trying to find different areas of improvement that I can always achieve.
Cool. So, Bradey, this has been great just to kind of sit here and talk to you, learn more about who you are as a person and player. Definitely one of the better long snappers that I feel like a lot of people really need to know. Being an All-American for FCS, definitely one of the key names there at your position. 6'2", 235, really, really athletic guy. I feel like there's got to be a spot for you at the next level. People just got to know your name. So
absolutely.
Again, this is Bradey Sorenson, long snapper, South Dakota State. Wish you best of luck, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.